The stars twinkled against the dark void of space as the massive white vessel glided silently through the cosmos. The ship's hull gleamed under distant starlight, its white surface marked with bold red crosses that could be seen from miles away. Along its side, large letters spelled out HMHS Mercy's Light, humanity's newest hospital ship. Captain Tom James stood at the bridge, his weathered hands clasped behind his back as he watched his crew work. After 20 years of service in various medical ships, he still felt pride every time he looked at the dedicated men and women under his command. The bridge crew moved with quiet efficiency, monitoring the countless systems that kept their floating hospital running smoothly. The Mercy's Light was different from regular hospital ships. It had to be. Humans came from Earth, a death world by galactic standards, and that meant everything they built needed special considerations. The air filtration systems worked overtime, keeping the atmosphere breathable for both the human crew and their alien patients. The gravity controls constantly adjusted, providing comfortable conditions for species from both high and low gravity worlds. "Captain," called out the communications officer, "we're receiving another request for assistance. A trade vessel with multiple injuries from a meteor strike." James nodded. This was why they were out here. "Tell them we're on our way. Alert Medical Bay 3 to prepare for impact trauma cases." Dr. Miller's voice came through the ship's internal communications. Medical Bay 3 acknowledging. "We're setting up the variable gravity pods now." The chief medical officer had been treating alien species for longer than James had been captain, and her expertise showed in every case they handled. The massive ship changed course smoothly, its engines humming as they pushed the vessel toward their new destination. Inside its white hull, hundreds of medical staff prepared for their incoming patients. They moved through corridors designed wide enough to accommodate beings of all sizes, past rooms filled with medical equipment modified to work with dozens of different physiologies. What made human hospital ships special wasn't just their advanced technology. It was their ability to treat almost any species despite humans being Deathworlders. Most aliens found it strange at first. How could creatures from such a harsh world be so good at healing? But humans had learned medicine the hard way. Through centuries of dealing with their own dangerous world, they understood trauma, injury, and healing in ways that amazed the galactic community. The medical bay buzzed with activity as the staff prepared for their new patients. They moved with practiced ease, checking equipment and preparing treatment pods. The pods themselves were marvels of engineering, capable of adjusting their internal environment to match any known spacefaring species' homeworld conditions. "All hands, prepare for emergency acceleration," James announced over the ship's communication system. The Mercy's Light's engines flared brighter, pushing the massive vessel faster through space. Every minute counted when lives were at stake, and the ship's powerful engines were another reminder that this was no ordinary hospital ship. Humans built things to last, to withstand the worst conditions imaginable. As they approached the damaged trade vessel, James watched his crew work. The rescue shuttles were already prepping for launch, their crews double-checking their emergency equipment. The medical teams stood ready in their special suits, designed to protect both them and their patients from any biological incompatibilities. This was what humanity did best. They took their hard-earned knowledge of survival and used it to help others. The galactic community might see humans as dangerous Deathworlders, but ships like the Mercy's Light showed another side of humanity. They were tough enough to survive a death world, yes, but they were also determined to use that strength to protect and heal others. The Mercy's Light slowed as it reached the damaged vessel, its massive white form casting a shadow over the smaller ship. Another day of saving lives was about to begin, and Captain James couldn't think of anything more important than that. As he gave the order to begin rescue operations, he felt the familiar sense of purpose that came with commanding the human hospital ship. They were here to help, and that's exactly what they would do, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The calm of space was broken by a sudden burst of static over the Mercy's Light's communication system. The night shift crew sat up straighter in their seats as the urgent message cut through their usual quiet routines. The signal was weak, distorted by distance and interference, but the fear in the alien voice came through clearly. "This is Mining Colony 7. We need immediate medical help. Unknown illness spreading. Please, anyone." The message crackled before repeating itself on a loop. Lieutenant Reed, the night shift communications officer, quickly traced the signal's origin. Her fingers moved swiftly across the control panel as she analyzed the data. "Captain James to the bridge," she called over the internal comm system. "Priority 1 distress signal." Within minutes, Captain James arrived on the bridge, his uniform slightly wrinkled from sleep but his eyes alert. "Report," he ordered, taking his position at the command station. "Sir, we're picking up a distress call from a Reverie mining colony in the Outer Rim," Reed explained, putting the message on the main speakers. "They're reporting some kind of disease outbreak." James frowned slightly. The Reverie were known throughout the galaxy for their deep distrust of Deathworlders, especially humans. They believed that contact with species from high-gravity worlds could contaminate their delicate physical forms. But a call for help was a call for help, regardless of who made it. "How far?" James asked, studying the star charts on his display. 6 hours at maximum safe speed, sir." The captain nodded and pressed the comm button. "Dr. Miller to the bridge." While waiting for the chief medical officer, he ordered the navigation team to plot a course to the colony. Dr. Miller arrived quickly, her gray hair tied back in a neat bun. She listened to the distress call, her expression growing more concerned with each repeat. "The symptoms they're describing. It sounds like it could be rapid cellular degradation. If that's the case, we need to move fast." "The Reverie won't like having humans in their colony," James reminded her, though his hands were already moving to authorize the course change. "They'll like being dead even less," Miller replied with the directness typical of human medical professionals. "We have the equipment and experience to handle this. No other medical ship in this sector would be equipped for a full quarantine situation." James pressed another button on his command console. "All hands, this is the captain. We have a medical emergency situation. All off-duty medical personnel report to their stations. This is not a drill." Throughout the massive ship, hundreds of crew members sprang into action. In the medical bays, staff began preparing isolation wards and checking their protective gear. The engineering team started adjusting the environmental systems to match Reverie biological requirements. Supply officers inventoried their stocks of universal medicines and treatment pods. The Mercy's lights engines roared to life, pushing the huge vessel to its maximum safe speed. Inside, the crew could feel the slight vibration that came with such powerful acceleration. They were breaking several standard safety protocols by pushing the engines this hard. But every minute could mean more lives saved. "Send a message back to the colony," James ordered. "Tell them help is coming, and give them basic quarantine instructions until we arrive." As Reed transmitted the response, James watched his crew work. He knew the risks they were taking by heading into a potentially hostile situation. The Reverie might reject their help even now, but that wouldn't stop them from trying. That was the core of what made human medical ships special. They would help anyone, anywhere, no matter the danger or difficulty. The stars streaked past the viewports as the Mercy's light raced toward the distant colony. In the medical bays, the staff continued their preparations, ready to face whatever challenge awaited them. None of them knew that they were heading straight into something far more dangerous than a disease outbreak, but even if they had known, it wouldn't have stopped them. They were a human hospital ship, and helping others wasn't just their job. It was their purpose. The Mercy's light dropped out of faster-than-light travel near the mining colony, its massive white form gleaming against the backdrop of a red dwarf star. But something was wrong. The bridge crew noticed it immediately. There were no lights visible on the colony surface. For a place supposedly dealing with a medical emergency, it was too quiet. "Life sign readings?" Captain James asked, his eyes narrowing as he studied the main view screen. None from the colony, sir, reported the sensor officer. But I'm detecting multiple ships hidden behind the third moon. They're powered down, trying to stay hidden. Before James could respond, several ships burst from behind the moon. They were sleek, dark vessels built for combat, not the rescue ships they had expected to find at an emergency scene. Their weapons were already charged and ready. A new voice cut through their communications, deep and rough. Hospital Ship Mercy's Light. This is Commander Dax. Power down your engines and prepare to be boarded. We know you carry valuable medical supplies and technology. Surrender them, and no one needs to get hurt. The bridge crew looked at their captain. James stood calmly, his face showing no fear despite the threat. Commander Dax, he replied, his voice steady. This is a neutral medical vessel. We are protected under galactic law. Stand down your weapons. Harsh laughter came over the speakers. Galactic law doesn't reach out here, Captain. And your ship may be medical, but it's also human. We know how much advanced technology you Deathworlders keep on these vessels. Throughout the ship, hidden systems began to activate. They were subtle things. Slight changes in the air circulation, barely noticeable shifts in the internal gravity fields, medical equipment quietly switching to secondary modes that their designers had hoped would never be needed. Commander, James tried again. I need to make something very clear. Attacking the human hospital ship would be a grave mistake. We are here to heal, but we are still human. This is your final warning. The pirate ships moved closer, their weapons glowing hot. Commander Dax's voice came back, filled with contempt. Final warning. You're a hospital ship. What are you going to do? Bandage us to death? In the medical bays, Dr. Miller and her staff moved with practiced efficiency. They weren't running in panic. Instead, they were calmly securing patients, sealing sensitive areas, and moving to preset positions. Their movements were too organized for this to be the first time they had prepared for such a situation. All hands, James announced over the ship's internal communications. Initiate Protocol Nightingale. The pirates probably expected the hospital ship to panic. They'd probably thought its crew would be scared medical staff, unused to violence. They couldn't have been more wrong. The Mercy's Light was built by humans who understood that sometimes you had to protect your patients by any means necessary. The first pirate ship that tried to dock got a nasty surprise. Their cutting tools, designed to slice through standard hull materials, barely scratched the hospital ship's special armor. The Mercy's Light's hull was designed to withstand meteorite impacts and solar flares while protecting vulnerable patients. Pirate tools were nothing in comparison. Last chance, Commander, James announced, his voice now carrying an edge of steel. Withdraw your ships and we'll forget this happened. Continue this attack, and you'll learn why humans build our hospital ships to be stronger than most battleships. The pirates responded by firing their first shots. The energy blasts splashed harmlessly against the Mercy's Light's shields. Shields designed to protect thousands of vulnerable patients from any threat, including weapons fire. Very well, James said quietly. He pressed a button on his command chair. Medical combat teams, you are authorized to begin defensive procedures. Remember your oaths. First, do no harm. But if they insist on harm being done, make sure it's not to our patients. Throughout the massive ship, dozens of sealed compartments opened. The pirates were about to learn the hard way that human medical knowledge could be used for more than just healing, and that a hospital ship's crew knew far more about causing and preventing harm than any pirate could imagine. Captain James watched the pirate ships on his U-screen with the calm focus of a surgeon studying a patient. The pirates had made their choice. Now they would learn why the galaxy's smarter criminals never attacked human medical vessels. Medical Combat Team 1, begin defensive measures, he ordered. Remember, we want survivors who can spread the word. Dr. Miller, prepare the emergency wards. We'll have patients soon. The first pirate ship managed to attach a boarding tube to the Mercy's Light's hull. They cut through the outer door, probably feeling proud of themselves. Then they reached the inner corridors and found them filled with a thick white mist. "What's this fog?" one pirate asked over their comm system, his voice already growing drowsy. "Some kind of defense system." "That's just aerosolized sleep medicine." Dr. Miller's voice came through their comms, calm and professional. "We use it to sedate dangerous patients safely. Don't worry, you'll wake up in about 6 hours. In restraints, in our secure ward, but you'll wake up." More pirate teams tried boarding at different points. They found sealed corridors that could flip artificial gravity in an instant, turning floors into walls and ceilings into drops. They discovered that the ship's air filtration system could isolate sections in seconds, and that human medical ships carried enough sedative gas to calm down an entire angry space station. On the bridge, Captain James opened a channel to Commander Dax's ship. "Commander, your boarding teams have been neutralized. Would you like me to explain what else a hospital ship can do? Our trauma teams understand exactly how much force a body can take before permanent damage occurs. Our quarantine systems can isolate and incapacitate threats faster than military-grade weapons. And our medical scanners. They can target specific organs with pinpoint accuracy." "You're bluffing," Dax growled back, but there was a hint of uncertainty in his voice now. "Your medical staff. You took oaths to do no harm." "Exactly," James replied. "We're medical staff. We know more ways to disable a person than any soldier. We can keep you alive and conscious through things that would make a torture expert faint. Not that we would. We're healers, after all. But we can." A second pirate ship tried to cut through the hull near the medical bay. They breached the outer layer only to find themselves facing Dr. Miller and her trauma team. The pirates had weapons. The medical team had bone saws, surgical lasers, and a very detailed knowledge of anatomy. "Commander Dax," James continued, "did you know our surgical lasers can cut through hull metal? We use them to remove damaged parts of ships in rescue operations. Imagine what they can do to your engines. Or would you like to learn about our quarantine barriers? They're designed to contain diseases that can eat through steel." The pirates' confidence was breaking. Their boarding teams had gone silent. Their scans couldn't penetrate the hospital ship's hull. It was designed to block all harmful radiation from reaching patients. And now they were learning that every piece of medical equipment could be turned into a defensive weapon. "Last chance, Commander," James said firmly. "Surrender now, and we'll treat your injuries. File a report and let the authorities handle this. Continue fighting, and you'll learn exactly why human medical knowledge is considered one of the most dangerous things in the galaxy when misused." Some of the pirate ships were already turning away. They had expected an easy target, a ship full of doctors and nurses. Instead, they found a fortress crewed by people who understood exactly how fragile life was and exactly how to protect it. "Remember," James added, almost gently now, "we're a hospital ship. That means we can put you back together after we take you apart. The question is, Commander, do you really want to find out how many times we can do that?" The silence that followed was broken only by the sound of pirate ships powering down their weapons. Sometimes the best way to win a fight was to make your opponents realize just how badly they had underestimated you. Commander Dax made his final mistake. Instead of surrendering, he ordered his remaining ships to open fire. Energy beams struck the Mercy's light's shields, creating bright flashes in the darkness of space. The pirates thought they were fighting a hospital ship. They were about to learn they were fighting a hospital ship built by humans. "They've made their choice," Captain James said quietly. "Medical combat teams, you have permission to show them why we're called Deathworlders. Remember your training. Incapacitate when possible. Lethal force only as a last resort." The Mercy's light's response was unlike anything the pirates had seen before. The ship's medical shuttles, designed to rescue people from dangerous situations, launched from their base. These weren't normal rescue craft anymore. Their life support systems, meant to stabilize patients, now projected fields that could disable enemy ships' engines. "Target their life support systems," Dr. Miller commanded from her medical bay. "Precise cuts only, just like surgery." The surgical lasers, normally used to save lives, sliced through the pirate's hull with terrifying accuracy. The medical teams knew exactly where to cut. They had spent years learning every detail of ship construction to help rescue trapped accident victims. Now they used that knowledge differently. Inside the Mercy's light, more pirates had managed to break through. They found themselves facing medical staff in sealed environmental suits. The pirates' weapons seemed dangerous, but the medical team's equipment proved far worse. Bone stabilizers became weapons that could lock joints in place. Tissue regenerators reversed their function, causing instant muscle weakness. "Remember," Dr. Miller's voice came through the team's comms, "we're not here to kill. We're here to teach a lesson they'll never forget." A group of pirates found themselves trapped in a corridor when the medical ship's quarantine barriers activated. These invisible force fields, designed to contain the deadliest plagues in the galaxy, now held armed pirates as easily as they held viruses. The pirates discovered that shooting the barriers only made them stronger. They were designed to adapt to any threat. In space, the battle was turning fast. The medical shuttles moved with incredible precision, their crews using their rescue training in ways the pirates never expected. They didn't target weapons or engines. Instead, they targeted life support systems, communication arrays, and artificial gravity generators. Systems failed with surgical precision. "This is why you don't attack hospital ships," James broadcasted to all channels. "We know every weakness in your ships because we've had to rescue people from them. We know exactly how your life support systems work because we've had to repair them. There is nothing about your vessels we haven't studied in detail to help save lives." Commander Dax's flagship tried to turn away, but it was too late. A medical shuttle had attached itself to their hull, using its emergency rescue tools to cut through their engine controls. Another shuttle was systematically disabling their weapons, the crew working with the same careful precision they used in rescue operations. "All pirates, this is Dr. Miller." Her calm voice reached every ship. "Your vessels are now under our medical quarantine. Your crews are experiencing the effects of our emergency sedation systems. This is not negotiable. We will board your ships, treat your injuries, and ensure you survive to face justice. Resistance will only result in additional treatment." The remaining pirates watched in horror as their ship's systems shut down one by one. The medical teams moved through their vessels like a well-organized infection, systematically disabling everything in their path. They used scanners meant for finding injured survivors to locate hidden pirates. They used emergency medical force fields to contain entire sections of ships. In less than 30 minutes, it was over. The Mercy's light stood unchanged among a field of disabled pirate vessels. Its white hull still gleamed, its red crosses still bright against the darkness of space. It looked exactly the same as before, peaceful, calm, and ready to help those in need. But now everyone would know that this peace came with power, and that humanity's hospital ships were not to be underestimated. The medical teams moved efficiently through the captured pirate ships, their white environmental suits now marked with scorch marks and dirt. They carried medical supplies instead of weapons, checking each pirate they found with professional care. The fight was over. Now it was time to heal. In the Mercy's Light's main medical bay, Dr. Miller supervised the treatment of injured pirates. Some had minor wounds from the fighting. Others were just waking up from the effects of the sedative gas. All of them watched the human medical staff with a mixture of fear and confusion. "I don't understand," one pirate said as a nurse treated his broken arm. "We attacked you. Why are you helping us?" The nurse didn't pause in her work as she answered, "Because that's what we do. We're a hospital ship. The fighting was to stop you from hurting our patients. Now you're our patients." Commander Dax lay on a treatment bed. His pride hurt more than his body. Captain James stood next to him, watching as the medical team treated the pirate leader's minor injuries. "You could have killed us all," Dax said quietly. "Your medical teams knew exactly where to hit us to cause the most damage. Why didn't you?" James smiled slightly. "That's not how humans run hospital ships. We can fight when we need to, But our real strength is in healing. Although, he added, looking around the medical bay, I hope you've learned why attacking medical ships is a bad idea. The captured pirates were already spreading the word through their communications. Messages raced across pirate frequencies, warning others about human hospital ships. The stories grew with each telling, about medical equipment that could be turned into weapons, about doctors who could disable a person with a touch, about rescue teams that could take apart a ship as easily as they could save it. In the secure ward, Dr. Miller checked on the pirates who had been caught by the sedative gas. All vital signs normal. She noted in her medical log. No lasting effects from the defensive measures. They'll be ready for transfer to authorities within 24 hours. The Mercy's Lights crew worked around the clock, treating injuries, repairing damage, and preparing reports. They moved with the same efficiency they showed during any other medical emergency. To them, this was just another day of treating patients, even if these patients had tried to attack them first. Will this change how the galaxy sees human hospital ships? A young medical officer asked Captain James as they watched the treatment continue. James shook his head. It will change how they see attacking them, but we'll still answer every distress call. We'll still help anyone who needs it. We'll just hope they remember that being peaceful doesn't mean being helpless. In the ship's communication center, messages were already arriving from other medical ships and space stations. The story of the Mercy's Lights defense was spreading fast. Other human hospital ships sent congratulations. They had similar defensive systems, but rarely had to use them. Alien medical facilities sent messages of support and amazement. One message stood out. It came from the Riveri, the species known for distrusting Deathworlders. Perhaps their message read, "We were wrong about human medical ships. Any species that can show such restraint in victory must truly understand healing." As the last pirates were treated and secured, Captain James made a final round of his ship. The medical bays were returning to normal. The defensive systems were powering down. The crew was tired but proud. They had proven that human hospital ships were more than just places of healing. They were symbols of humanity's unique approach to helping others. Back to normal operations, James announced over the ship's comm system. "We have a galaxy full of patients who need our help. Let's show everyone that humans are best known not for how well we fight, but for how well we heal." 3 months after the pirate incident, the Mercy's Light drifted through space on another rescue mission. The ship looked the same as always, pristine white with its bold red crosses. But now other ships treated it differently. When the massive hospital ship appeared, even the roughest space traffic moved respectfully out of its way. Captain James stood at his usual spot on the bridge, watching his crew work. The events with Commander Dax and his pirates had changed things across the galaxy, not just for the Mercy's Light, but for all human hospital ships. "Captain," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving the weekly report from Central Command. You might want to see this." The report showed a dramatic drop in attacks on medical vessels. The story of what happened to Dax's pirate fleet had spread far and wide. The pirates who surrendered had been treated well, but they told stories that made even the bravest raiders think twice about attacking hospital ships. In the medical bay, Dr. Miller was training new staff members. The number of aliens applying to work on human hospital ships had increased significantly. Many wanted to learn not just human medical techniques, but also their approach to combining care with capability. The key, she explained to her mixed group of human and alien medical students, isn't in the defensive systems or the combat training. It's understanding that protecting our patients is just as important as healing them. That's what makes human hospital ships special. The Mercy's Light's reputation had grown. Now when they answered distress calls, they often found that local ships had already cleared paths for them. Even species that traditionally avoided humans would call for their help. The incident had shown the galaxy something important about humanity. Their dedication to healing was matched only by their ability to protect those under their care. In his private office, James read a message from Commander Dax. The pirate leader had served his sentence and was now working as a security consultant for civilian medical ships. teaching them how to protect themselves. "You showed me that true strength isn't in fighting," Dax wrote. "It's in knowing when to fight, when to heal, and how to do both with honor." The ship's archives now included training materials based on their experience. Other hospital ships studied how the Mercy's Light had defended itself without compromising its medical mission. The incident had become a perfect example of humanity's unique approach to emergency medicine, being prepared for anything while always focusing on saving lives. A new distress call came in, and the Mercy's Light changed course to respond. As they approached the coordinates, they found something unexpected. A Reverie medical ship was already there. The same species that once refused to let humans treat their people now asked the Mercy's Light for assistance and guidance. "Times are changing," James said to his crew as they prepared to help. "The galaxy is learning that being from a death world doesn't make us dangerous. It makes us understand the value of life even more." The Mercy's Light's medical teams deployed to assist the Reverie, sharing their knowledge and experience freely. This was what they had fought for, not just the right to help others, but the chance to show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their ability to fight, but in their dedication to heal. As the ship continued its mission, its white hull gleaming against the stars, it carried more than medical supplies and emergency equipment. It carried hope. Hope that showed the galaxy that the same strength that made humans survive on a death world made them the best at saving lives across the stars. The Mercy's Light sailed on, ready to heal, ready to protect, ready to show why human hospital ships would always be places of both peace and power. In the end, that was humanity's greatest gift to the galaxy. The knowledge that true strength lies not in the ability to harm, but in the choice to heal.